vapors. No. I'm sorry. Take a vape. Today we got some things to talk about, really cool stuff, and then I'm going to take a moment to kind of get a little serious for the Jew, because sometimes you just got to, you know what I'm saying? Thanks. So here's the deal. Today we're going to talk about one of my most favorite atomizers to date, okay? I'm also going to tell you guys a little bit about some juice that I have to show you, which is always on our menu of deliciousness, and we're going to talk about a post from one of the best reviewers out there, you know, kind of paved the way and, you know, does a lot for the community. Something that he posted yesterday, or yeah, it was yesterday. But let's talk about some juice first. Normally I would talk about the RDA, but I want to talk about juice. So there's a couple groups on Facebook that I like to frequent, that I like to be a part of. One of them is Oh My Vape. I've mentioned them before, run by a very nice gentleman named Leon. I'm not going to try to say his last name. I think it's Gorgolius. I don't know. My last name's Pawaga, so you know how that is. Anyway, awkward. Just kidding. So the other one is called In Theory, okay? In parentheses, it says theory. I'm not really sure how that works, but it doesn't matter. So both of these groups have a juice line attached to them, okay? Now, I like the two groups for a couple of reasons. One, easygoing people, not a lot of drama, a lot of good quality stuff that comes up, good pricing on juice, and like I said, it just runs smoothly, and it doesn't, there's not a lot of crap that goes on, and that's really what I look for in groups, is no drama. Like, do the people that admin or the owners allow shitty people to be a part of it? Or do they themselves attract crappy people? And that's usually what happens. Like when you have an admin or a person that owns a group, usually if they're an asshole, the people in the groups are assholes. And unfortunately, there's a lot of assholes on Facebook. And there's a lot of asshole groups out there. So I like to be a part of the ones that I feel aren't assholes. So, anyhow, On My Vape, In Theory, two great groups, okay? So a couple weeks ago, I was able to travel down to Connecticut to go to the Vape Northeast, I think is what they called it, in 2016. Giant Vapes, as you know, I love Giant Vapes. They put this whole thing together. They had a ton of different vendors there and booths with selling juice and mods and all that stuff. Great time. So I was lucky enough to be able to pick up 2 bottles of their juice, okay? One of them was from Theory. It's called Spiral of Silence, which is basically like a creme brulee, okay? Now, from the get-go, or when I picked this juice up and I smelled it, I was like instantly hooked. You guys know me on like cinnamony vapes, desserty vapes, and that just does it for me. Oh, it smells so good. It almost kind of gives me a hint of like, I feel like coffee, but it doesn't taste like coffee at all. Very cinnamony, like really pleasant on the nose, okay? I could like put that on my skin and just smell like that, but then people would be like, oh yeah, figures, fat kid smells like cake. Anyway. The other one was from NectahBrews, repping Boston hardcore. Oh God, I can't believe I just did that. I don't do accents. Forgive me.
Forgive me, sir. Forgive me, sir.
Anyway, but anyway, from NectahBrews, I was able to get a bottle of Ruby. Yum, delish. Ruby is a unique taste, warm strawberry rhubarb pie that will take pie vapes to the next level, strawberry rhubarb pie. So, funny thing is when I was younger, my grandmother used to make a strawberry rhubarb cake that was absolutely delicious. And what made it so delicious was the sweetness and the tanginess and the tartness of the rhubarb and the sweetness of the sugary yumminess, okay? So right off the bat, you smell Ruby, and that's what you smell. You smell this really nice sweet strawberry scent. But you can definitely tell that there is a nice flavor, or there's a nice tartness to it. And they had their setups, I can't remember what they had, what tank they had, but they had them in a tank, which I was happy with. Because a lot of times, like, it's like, you know that you can have something taste really good in a dripper, but sometimes they don't really travel well to a tank. So to have them right in a tank is, you know, whatever. Then again, it could backfire if they had bad coils or bad, you know, whatever, but they didn't. So anyway, I put the Ruby in this Hurricane. I've been vaping on it. It's absolutely brilliant. Let me take a rip. What I really like about Ruby is that you're able to really get that sweet and tart. And the cool part about it is that sweetness isn't overly sweet. And I always fucking say that. I always say, oh, it's not overly sweet. But it's the truth. If I like a juice, it's not going to be overly sweet. If the sweetness is out of control, then I'm probably going to back up and be like, whoa. Because again, what's the word that we like to use here at Central Mass Vapors? Balance. You need balance. If you don't have balance, you don't have good anything, just like in cooking. So with Ruby, you definitely do get a little bit of both. You get a nice balance of tart and sweet. I really dig this. The strawberry isn't a typical strawberry either. You can tell it's a berry. You can tell it's a strawberry, but it doesn't read like strawberry, you know, like you would get a strawberry custard or a strawberry and cream. It's like a fresher strawberry, and then you got the tart. So it's really, really just a nice balanced juice. If you like a fruitier, tarty juice, then you're gonna like Ruby. So theory, like I said, the spiral of silence is a creme brulee. Like I said, the first thing you get from me is you get a like cinnamony bakery smell to it. And I will say this: when you taste spiral of silence, you get creme brulee more from the taste than you do the smell. If that makes any sense. Yeah, it's absolutely delicious. It's got this. It for me, like I said, I pick up cinnamon notes. It definitely a creaminess of the custard. But for me, it's all about that really nice bakery cinnamony flavor. That's what I get from it, and that's what I like about it. So to me, like maybe if I had something that had like a touch more creaminess, then to me it would read more creme brulee. But like I said, for me, it doesn't need it because when you have a nice, strong, sweet, cinnamony flavor, bakery type stuff, that's all I really need. So it's an A plus home run in my eyes. Good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave the links to both companies down in the description along with the groups. You guys can go join and chill out and all that good stuff. So definitely, if you do join either one of these groups, definitely say hi to them and to me, and we can all be friends and happily ever after. So let me put away Ruby. Now let me put away Spiral of Silence. And now let's move on. So what we want to talk about today also is one of my most favorite atomizers to date. Okay, so I can't tell you enough about how different. If you are somebody who goes out and buys a lot of RDAs, then you already know how different each RDA is. A lot of times the big thing that changes about them is airflow. Or, you know, how many posts does it have? Does it have a deep juice well? You know, all these things will factor in on how it performs and how it tastes and all that good stuff, right? Well, today we're going to talk about the Snapdragon 1.5. This is put out by a company named Eden Mods. It's one of those atomizers that comes out the gate. People buy them up really quick, and you can't find them. You can find people that will resell them. They call those people flippers. You know, sometimes people will flip them for higher costs because they know you know, people want them and they can't find them. What I was really impressed with is Eden Mods actually made a statement in their Facebook page, basically stating that they do not stand behind the flippers, and if they find them in the group, they will go ahead and ban them. And it wasn't so much because flippers are flipping, it was because they were going into their site and buying out everything that they have in stock and then reselling them for flipper prices, which is fucking wrong. I mean, it's one thing, like, you know, you buy a mod and you know people want it and they can't find it, and then you resell it because you know that it's worth that much money. But it's another thing to like take the fucking, take the person's entire stock and then resell them. That's just stupid and wrong, but whatever. But anyways, I was lucky to win one in a waffle a while ago, and I've been just sitting here absolutely enjoying it and loving on it, and I still am. Some of the big key specs on the Snapdragon 1.5 is that it's a 22 millimeter RDA. It sits perfectly on everything that I've had, that I've used it on. This is one of the situations where you do not want to stick your Snapdragon on a hybrid mod. The pin just does not stick out far enough to be able to do that. But another thing is that in my opinion, the Snapdragon 1.5 is not a mod. It's not an atomizer that I'm going to be trying to rock big clouds on. Okay, it's a flavor atomizer. So the Snapdragon not only is a 22 millimeter RDA, it also has a lead-free brass 510 connection. It's made of 316 surgical steel, which of course is always good. The Snapdragon also is single or dual coil capable, so you can rock both your singles and coils. I've done both. They both work wonderful. It's got a nice deep juice well. And another cool thing, and this I think is like the new thing, a lot of people are looking at doing the airflow holes underneath the post or where your coil would hang, and then it comes out this adjustable AFC ring, right? So you got these three little, I think they're like 3x2, what does it say? 3x2 millimeter holes. I think there's three little holes. I don't know if I would assume each one of them is 3.2 or 3x2 millimeters in a round, or all three of them together are. I'm not somebody who's going to know that. So like I said, it's got a nice deep juice well. I believe it's 5 millimeters deep or whatever, how you say that. And this atomizer uses the clamp method, right? So instead of sticking your wire through holes, you're going to stick them in between these two things that are like this, and they're open, right? So you put the little grub screw down and it clamps on. Now, that is an awesome way. It really does assure great connectivity. However, I and many people have had a lot of problems building with different size wires, okay? Me personally, I just got a build in there that I made a dual coil 26 gauge. I just got it in there. Like, I've been working at trying to get a 26 gauge build in there, dual coil, forever. I just couldn't do it. But like, one of them was always not in enough to where it would come out, or, it's just trouble. So Eden Mod heard that people had been having trouble building on this, which some people weren't. I really think it has to do with, me personally, I think my hands play a huge deal in it. My chubby little fingers, and they're just annoying sometimes to work with. But instead of saying, okay, you know what, let's scratch the 1.5 and let's create a 1.6 and make everybody buy a new RDA, they've created an accessory that actually goes, I don't know how it's going to work because they haven't brought it out yet, but in my eyes, it looks like it's going to go over the original deck somehow, and it allows you to have 4 holes now instead. So you'll be able to like put your any gauge wire, I would assume, probably no bigger than 24 gauge, because like I said, this is not for cloud chasing. There's no need to be putting 20 gauge anything in here. But it's supposed to make it a lot easier. So that's a great thing. A lot of companies may just say, you know what, let's screw everybody now and we'll wait until the other generation comes out. Instead, they've decided to, give us something that we can work with. And like I said, not everybody had the issue. I think it's just all in, the user. Some people are like, what you're complaining about? Me personally, I'm not the greatest builder. I just can do what I do, and that's it. But anyway, so the Snapdragon 1.5, I just absolutely adore this thing. I've been using it ever since I got it nonstop. I always have a build on it. I always have my favorite flavorful juices in it. I don't put juices that I don't like in here, or juices that are like, oh, I kind of like that. No, I always put the juices that I want, the full flavor, always in it. So that's about it for me. So either way, you're gonna pick this up. It's gonna cost you a little bit of money. It's I believe on Cold Vault Vapes you can pick it up for $135 or something like that. Is it worth $135? Well, that's for you to decide. For me, it would have been worth $200. I would pay that for this because, like I said, some RDAs, you know, you may use and then you may not care about. But this is always going to be an RDA I'm going to use. The Snapdragon is going to always be one of those RDAs that I'm going to pick up the newest one. And it's because I enjoy it and it's worth it and it's versatile. And, you know, just because it's not a cloud chaser Addy doesn't mean it doesn't perform like one. I mean, you can definitely pump some clouds into it or out from it, but it's made to have exceptional flavor, and that's what it does. So that's all that I got for the Snapdragon. It's just telling you guys how much I love it. Oh, and one more thing about it though, I love the airflow. Okay, like I said, you can set this up dual or single coil, but it's great. I mean, you know, you have the option to close it up a little bit, close it up, or leave it wide open. I personally like. I don't even care how it is. Every single type of, even when it's closed off all the way, it's still good. You can use it for like your mouth to lungers, you know. It's perfect. So anyway, that is all I got today for the Snapdragon and the two juices that I spoke about earlier. I will leave all the links in the description that you'll need to either look for the juice or the RDA, as well as some of the groups. And please do not forget that I have a brand new Facebook page. It's not a group, it's just my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, you give it a like, and then you can be told when the new videos are coming out or if I have a new contest happening, all that good stuff. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The link will be in the description. Please remember to fight for your right to vape. It's constantly like a constant thing. You cannot just pretend like it doesn't exist. Do what you have to do. Do what the cassette tells you to do. Follow the links. Call your everybody's. Call the dudes that tell you that you shouldn't be able to do something that you wants to do. It ain't right, I tell you. Let's dance this shit out. Stay fabulous, people, because I'm going to. And thank you for joining me.